This is why I don't like difficult conversations.
Are you ready to explain yourself now? Anyway, sorry, go on.
Hold on, I have to like get okay.
Hey y'all, I'm AJ Reyes.
And I'm Timothy Dailey-Valdes.
And this is Can I Bother You? Welcome back, or welcome if it's your first time with us. If it's your first time with us and you probably don't know, then you can find us on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter at Can I Bother You. That's a true fact.
No lie detected.
None whatsoever. You might find some on social media though, because I mean, all of social media is a lie.
It's all artifice, all fabrication. I don't know what I'm doing. I'm so sorry.
You're providing artifice and fabrication. Much like we might have done in some of the conversations we're about to discuss. This week's topic is difficult conversations. Much like the goodbye episode was inspired by Timothy's announcing that he would be leaving Can I Bother You, this episode was inspired by Timothy announcing that he was going to be leaving Can I Bother You. Because, well, is it okay if we talk about this?
Yeah, of course.
Okay, great.
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
Here's what happened, y'all. Timothy was sitting on our couch in the living room, and I'm over sitting at the dining room table in the dining room. It's a very small apartment, so we're like 10 feet apart when we sit in those places. But I'm there working on something. Oh, on Can I Bother You? We were planning the upcoming episodes, as we do. The next, 6 or 12, episodes. And choosing topics. And I asked him about something. I was like, oh, the 1 year mark. Can I Bother You's first birthday? I asked him something about that, and then he freaked out on me, and I had no idea what was going on at all. He started sputtering, which is a Timothy thing anyway, and then he, grabbed his face, and I was like, what's happening? And he started saying words, but didn't actually say sentences, and I had no idea what was going on. I've known Timothy a very long time, like half of our lives I've known Timothy, and I'd never seen him do this before, and so I was like, I don't quite know what to do with this. I just sat there quietly, because I'm like, well, he's going to work through it on his own. I don't know what to do, so I'll just sit here and wait for him. And he worked himself through it, and then, I don't remember if you said that you had to tell me something, or if I realized it, but I remember I was like, would it be better if I looked away, and then, don't look at you? And then you either said, I don't know, or maybe. I don't remember which one of those, but there's neither a yes or a no. And so, instead of looking at him, I turned straight ahead from where I was sitting, and he said my name, and I was like, oh, he wants to leave the show. The second he said my name, I was like, oh, he's done with the show. That's what was going on just now. Then we had a conversation, which was difficult for him. I was fine, but he's the one that was breaking all of your hearts, so I understand why it was hard for him. And I was like, okay, great. So what are the episodes? We're supposed to do this today, so we need to do it now. Can you try to talk us through what was going on, if you remember, what was going on in that moment?
So, y'all, I don't like difficult conversations, and almost every conversation is difficult for me. So, I had been putting off telling you for a long time. Not forever and ever, but probably 2 months. I knew you would accept it, but I also didn't think that you would be happy about it.
Mm-hmm.
And I wasn't expecting the jumping up and down at all. That really caught me off guard.
I'm just happy you didn't say anything about me having the balloons ready already. The goodbye Timothy balloons are
good riddance, I think is what they said.
Oh my god, yeah.
But I didn't know how to approach it really. I knew when I wanted to leave the show, but I didn't know when I wanted to talk about it. I knew I wanted to have some time, I didn't want to tell you right before we recorded the episode I left on.
Right.
For obvious reasons, because I'm not a monster, I hope. But I also didn't want there to be a whole crazy length of time where it's just in the air, hovering over us. Because I didn't know how it would be.
Yeah.
I didn't know how that news would affect the show. I had a general idea of how you would react. And you reacted in a similar way to that. At the same time, part of me is like, is he just going to say, you know what, let's just stop the show now. Let's just end it now because there's no point.
Mm-hmm.
Or, I had no idea how it was going to go or how it was going to affect you or if it would ruin our friendship. I didn't really think that one super seriously. But yeah, I was just dreading having to tell you. So I feel like in a way I waited until the very last moment. That's not exactly true. But
no, it's pretty true.
Well, because there had already been some times where we had talked about the future and stuff, and I had just nodded along.
So you played me like a fool.
No.
You had information that was important to me that you withheld as I continued to talk about it like it wasn't happening. You played me like a fool, Timothy.
I did not play you like a fool.
How does that make you feel?
I was just waiting for the right time to talk to you about it, because it wouldn't have been right if I had brought it up in those moments.
Have you looked in the mirror lately? I bet you haven't been able to. I still think that was the last possible second, though, because we were planning those episodes. You couldn't have told me after that moment, because we would have already planned the episode. Because you told me that you had thought that the 1 year mark would be the time to end it, right? So, like, we would have already planned that episode, and so if you hadn't told me the day that you told me when we were planning the episode, we would... Am I making sense?
I think I see what you're saying.
Okay, good, because I was like, I'm just repeating the same words over and over again at this point. It's okay that you waited to the last possible second, though, because air quotes, the last possible second was like 4 months in advance, so, like, I mean...
Also, you said something about me wanting to end it on the... I didn't want to end the show. I knew you would continue to do something in some fashion.
Yeah, that's not what I meant.
I knew what you meant, but I wanted it to be clear to the audience.
Okay.
Not that you weren't being clear. I just, you know...
You're Timothy-splaining me. Yeah, I get it. I wanted to make this episode a difficult conversation, so let me know how it's going. Leave me a review. I'm talking to you, Timothy. Leave me a review.
Wouldn't that be funny if I left a review on iTunes? Like, this show is great.
I'm surprised I haven't done that yet. Like, anonymously, because, you know, you can leave them and... Oh, did y'all know that, listeners? Did you know you can leave reviews anonymously? You choose what name to sign the review as. We won't know it's you if you don't say it's you. But anyway, it sounds like an AJ thing to be like, this show is great. AJ in particular is really wonderful. So funny and clever. Wow. It's nice that he took in that poor curmudgeon. I don't know what that word means. I just joked.
I was going to say, I don't think I'm a curmudgeon.
What is it? It just sounds like a funny word to me.
A curmudgeon is like a fuddy-duddy, a stick in the mud, irritated by everything.
Okay, no, that is closer to me.
I don't know. I don't... it's not a word I would use to describe you either, but anyway.
That's because you only use nice words.
Do I?
I'm giving him a look. You guys
I
can't
wish
see
you
it.
could see it.
Anyway, how was my reaction?
It was very good. I was trying to think of a more precise word than that. It was very affirming. It made me feel a lot better.
Yeah, keep saying nice things. I just like attacking you here on air, so I need people to know that that's not actually what it's like. Well, you know, within reason. When it matters, that's not what it's like.
Yeah, it was just very much like, okay, well, I'm sure you've thought about this, and you didn't say this, but the general sense I got was, if that's what's right for you, that's what's right for you.
Mm-hmm.
And like, cool. But as we've talked about before, very quickly you sort of went into what comes next mode.
Yeah.
Which also helped to take some pressure off, because it was like, oh, okay, everything's fine. We're still moving along. The world hasn't ended.
Yeah.
I think you had a very positive and kind reaction.
Okay, well, don't get carried away.
I thought you wanted me to say nice things about it.
Not flat out lies. Timothy, the people deserve better than that from you when you're about to abandon them. This is your 4th episode before you go? Is that right? Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I've also mentioned that at some point I will tell y'all what the future looks like, and that is not this episode. Timothy's last episode is probably when I'll start to discuss that. They're not here to discuss it. Ha! You're all held hostage.
That's when you'll present it.
Yes.
When you'll lecture them.
Yeah. That's when I will tell you what is going to happen.
You're going to get told.
You gonna learn today.
That's the expression I was actually looking for, I think.
Oh, God.
Or maybe you're gonna learn today, or I don't know, something. He's gonna take you to school.
Yeah, something like that.
Something, I don't
I'm
know.
gonna school you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't
We'll work on it and get back to y'all.
We'll fix it in post.
Oh, God. Anyway, that's how that went down. It was really strange for me because I was like, I've known you forever and I'd never seen you act like that before. Ever.
Really?
Yes, really.
I feel like I go into a lot of conversations like that.
Well, you do it internally because I've never seen you do anything like that before. Like, I was genuinely worried for like half a second. I was like, what's happening? And then I was like, no. Because, like, I mean, I still recognized all the Timothyisms of it all, you know? It's just that they were significantly more heightened and more condensed, if that makes sense. So I was like, it's not that any of it was, like, new, but the amount of it.
It was all very concentrated. It all happened at once.
Yeah. It's like, when you said the word concentrated, it's like, if you... No, I've got nothing. I was trying to think of, like, a drink that you might not have added enough water to or something, but I got nothing.
Yeah, like juice from concentrate if you just ate it instead of mixing it with water.
Yeah, I guess so. Something like that.
Or like those people who, I almost said raw dog. That's not what I mean.
No, you don't mean that.
They're just like, there's a name for it, but like workout bros. They'll like sometimes just take a scoop of protein powder or whatever and they'll just eat it instead of like mixing it with water.
Like shotgunning it, kind of?
Yeah, I think that's the word I meant, but there's a word for specifically doing it.
Huh.
Doing that.
I've never heard of that.
But I can't remember what it is.
You and I hang out with different crowds, I guess.
I heard about it on Sawbones, a medical history podcast.
Not what I meant, but yeah, still a different crowd.
I don't hang out with many gym bros. But...
I do, but we don't do much talking.
Just lots of working out.
Yeah, working out. Anyway.
I know you said that wasn't like a difficult conversation for you, but I would be interested to know if you want to talk about it. What was going on in your head as it was happening?
The second I figured it out was right before you finally said it. And so I was like, oh, and so you guys have heard it here on the episode, on the podcast, on the show, on Can I Bother You? You have heard me many times either force Timothy into his next point, like, okay, but what happened? Because he'll flounder a little bit and kind of reach into something else, and I'll be like, that's not where you were going, come back to us. Or sometimes I will tell you guys, hold on a second, he'll be with us in a minute. And so in that conversation, that's what was happening. But because I had just seen that you were going through it, I was like, okay, I'm going to let him get there in his own time, and then I beat you there anyway. And I was like, oh, okay. And so I was like, oh, okay, that's fine. That checks out. You hadn't told me anything, but I'm not blind. I'm a very smart, intuitive person. I know a lot of things. And I was just like, this isn't right for Timothy. But if he wants to keep going, I want him around. So I'm not going to tell him it's not right for him. So I was like, oh, okay, well, if he has now come there, if he has now decided that this isn't where he wants to be putting energy right now, that's fine. What am I going to do with it? Because I made it about me, because that's what I always do. So that's about what it was for me. As soon as you confirmed my suspicion of the last 5 seconds, I was like, okay, yeah, cool, great. Let's plan these episodes. And then in my head, I was already starting to plan what I was going to do without you. Because I will always be fine. It won't be the same show without you. Like, literally, it's not going to be the same show. Like, I mean, I've always thought it was funny when people say things like that. It won't be the same without you. It literally can't. It cannot be the same. But yeah, I was chill the whole time. So, in case you're wondering or anything, I wasn't like disappointed or anything. I was just like, okay, cool. That's over. But Timothy and I are so different. As you've also heard me mention, listener, every single chance that I get. I just want to make it very clear. Timothy has talked before about how, I think in the friendship episode, if not other places as well, how you've had trouble letting go of people and friendships and things like that. And I don't have that problem. And I mean, it's not that I'm unaffected by anything by any means. You know, I'm a human capable of emotions. Very much a human capable of emotions. Listen very closely to my voice. I am a human capable of all the emotions. And as such, I do feel things like when friendships or eras, as Can I Bother You has been with you, when an era ends. I mean, in like a year I'll miss it. I can't miss it right now though, we're still doing it. So like, I mean, At some point, I'll be like, oh, those were good times. But right now, I'm just like, okay, what's next for me? Because everything ends. Even if I continue doing the podcast without you, I mean, it's going to end at some point. Even if it's only because I die. Everything ends. And so, I mean, I made my peace with the fact that everything ends a long time ago. The first time I was left. I wanted to go dramatic and I couldn't quite get anywhere, so I just said something vague.
No,
I hope it was devastating.
Our hearts broke for you, AJ.
That's why I don't have a heart. Ooh, that's a good dramatic line for something. Like, I don't know. If it's like a breakup or something, and the breaker-upper is like, I care about you so much. I didn't want to hurt you. I didn't want to break your heart. And the other person is like, you can't break what's not there. And then they dramatically turn away.
Oh, that's good.
Thank you. It's very CW.
Yeah. You should write that scene. You should write for the CW. I've often thought that.
I could do it really well.
Yeah.
Because you don't have to do anything well at all.
I feel like there's a formula. Like, I'm not saying those shows are good, but like you have to be able to write to type.
I see what you
very
mean.
Well.
Yeah. They have a style.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, there's an art to doing that.
You're right. I could do that well.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, you totally could.
Anyway, that's what that conversation was for me when you were saying goodbye. But what's well, I guess I can try to talk.
No, I can. I feel like you've done good.
Okay, thank you. Yeah.
I feel like you carried most of that conversation because you explained the whole situation.
That's true. I've done all the work that I'm going to do for the night. So I'm just going to sit back and Timothy is going to take it from here, y'all.
That's deeply terrifying to me.
So buckle up. You know it's going to get wild.
It's literally a nightmare.
And I'm sure you're all going to have fun.
Oh, boy. Oh, but yeah, like I said, I often find conversations difficult. I really don't like confrontation or conflict, really. In my real life, obviously, I know you need those things in art.
Right.
And like, you know, I don't know.
On the CW, yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, I'm just not good with them. I have a hard time having people be upset with me or mad at me or hurt because of something I've said or disappointed in me or anything like that. I was definitely one of those kids who I'm not mad, I'm just disappointed, always worked on. Although mad is bad too, don't get me wrong.
Right.
I hate it all. But yeah, I don't know if the phrase people pleaser is exactly accurate, but I do need people's approval and love. So I don't know. Take that for what you will. But yeah, I find lots of everyday conversations hard. And anytime I have to quit anything, anytime I have to break up with someone, anytime I've had to leave a job, all of those have been dreadful. Like, I mentioned this on one of our Can I Hire You episodes, but when I quit my cashier job at HEB, a grocery store, if you haven't been listening, I don't know. And if you don't live in Texas.
We are 54 episodes in. You know everything about us. If you don't know what HEB is.
But I was quitting to move to a town outside of Austin for grad school. And I had all this vacation time saved up that I didn't know I had been earning. So I took it. I took a month off. And I made sure to finagle it to where I could put in my 2 weeks notice and then still have 2 weeks off. So I probably shouldn't have done that, but they were fine with it. They let me do it. But yeah, so just one day during my time off, 2 weeks before I wanted to quit and before my time off was scheduled to end, I took in a written 2 weeks, like a typewritten 2 weeks notice, and I gave it to them. And I was just kind of like, so putting in my 2 weeks. I'm sure I said something about how much I had enjoyed my time there and how grateful I was for everything they had done for me and for all the experiences and the love and the laughter. I didn't say all that. I don't think AJ believes me. Anyway, but I had to do so much work to keep that. What, AJ?
I mean, if the goody two shoes fit.
Oh, that's really good.
Thank you. I was trying to get there and it just took me like a second longer than I thought it would. Anyway.
But yeah, I went to a lot of trouble to keep that from being any more difficult of a conversation than it had to be. It almost wasn't a conversation. Like, I barely said any actual words. I took a note. It was a very nice note. It did say a lot of the things I was saying about, like, enjoying my time, very happy here, blah, blah, blah. It's not you, it's me. I'm trying to think. I think that's the only time I've ever quit a job in person. I've had to quit remote jobs where I could just email somebody and quit. Or it was like a freelance thing that I could just kind of stop doing. And there are so many other people doing it that they didn't really have a way for me to even tell them. But yeah, that was the only time I ever had to quit a job. There was one time I got laid off when I was in college from my office assistant position. They turned it into a work study thing, so I wasn't eligible for it. So they told me they would have to let me go, but they were going to let me finish out, I think, the rest of the month. And I was just like, no, it's okay. I can just go. And then at the end of my shift, I just left because I didn't want to like deal with all the awkwardness that I thought would be there. Which was stupid because I didn't have a job lined up or anything. I didn't even know I was losing that one. And so and that was an hourly job. So I just said no to all the money that I would have made in that time. It was dumb. I was a very dumb kid. What would I have been? 20? Maybe I had just turned 21. So yeah. So rather than deal with any unpleasantness there, that wasn't so much about a conversation per se, I guess. But yeah, rather than deal with any sort of potential unpleasantness, I was just like, no, I'll just go now. I'll go quietly.
Now that you're done with me, I'll just go.
I can see when I'm not wanted.
We know, we just told you. Calling yourself a dumb kid, which is accurate. I agree with that assessment. But then you were like, I was like 21, and I was just thinking, you're only 11 years older.
That's true. Also, I want to make it very clear, I don't think that all 21-year-olds are just dumb kids.
I do. I think all 20-somethings are dumb kids, and I think we're dumb 30-somethings. Like, I think we're just all dumb always for the rest of our lives. We're doomed to be dumb. We can get smarter in many ways.
That would be a good book title.
Doomed to be dumb?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm down for it. We can all learn and grow lots, but in 10 more years, I'm going to be like, man, 31-year-old AJ, he was real fucked up. Much how in a lot of episodes, I've been like, younger AJ was really fucked up. Present day AJ is pretty fucked up. And 41-year-old AJ, assuming that I live that long, I'm evil. Evil doesn't die. But assuming I live that long, because I wouldn't really know if it's going to happen or not, because I'm a human, and, humans, things happen to them, and I'm a human. But 41-year-old...
This is a roller coaster ride for me.
41-year-old... Most difficult conversations are. 41-year-old AJ will be like, 30-year-old AJ didn't know what the hell was up. So we're just doomed to be dumb forever. And I think that that's okay. Timothy would probably say, as long as we're kind, and I'd be like, that's also dumb. Timothy would be like, if he were here, Timothy would be like... What if this whole time I was both of us? I was just using a different voice for Timothy.
That would be wild.
Whoa.
I feel like we talk over each other enough that that's improbable. Although editing.
I don't think that we've told this industry secret yet. But there is an episode, and I'm not going to tell you guys which one.
Oh boy, I didn't know this was going to come out.
I thought we would take this to our graves. There is an episode of Can I Bother You, one single episode of Can I Bother You, where the audio was so messed up that I completely re-recorded, half of it, I think. The first half of the episode, the audio was lost. The second half was fine. So I completely re-recorded my side of a conversation. So none of it's the original audio. I went through it line by line, and I recreated every single thing that I said in that conversation with Timothy. So there's one episode of Can I Bother You where the AJ half is just me acting like myself, which I guess I do every day. Anyway, if you guys think you know which one it is, let us know in a review. Or you can let us know on the socials, that's fine too. But anyway, I'm so excited you have told people that. I hope you're all freaking out. I hope you're like, I had no idea. AJ's so good. And he plays Timothy, so much on his plate. No wonder he's always so tired. It's not because he has trouble with anxiety or sleeping. He's a hard worker.
It's both, to be fair.
Yeah, I mean, there's no reason why I couldn't be. All of the above. As I am a human, I have all of those problems, like most humans.
Is that why, quote unquote, Timothy is leaving this show? It just got too hard.
Yes. I got bored of the Timothy character. I feel like his character had sort of like reached its arc, you know? Kind of completed the storyline already. I didn't see how he could go much further, so. Anyway, unemployment, or I mean quitting specifically. That was the only other thing I had on my list. Oh no, not that. I've never actually had a conversation about me leaving. I've always just written a 2 weeks, and I don't say the bullshit like, I've enjoyed my time here or whatever. I've always just been like, this is my notice, my last day will be, and that's it. It's like one sentence, and then I sign it. I think that's every single job I've ever had. Because I'm like, they don't care. They really don't care. I'm telling them I'm leaving, and they're already thinking about when they're going to start hiring someone new. So, like, they don't care. But the other thing on my list was actually the first time I ever asked for a raise. I was 17, I think, or 18, so I'd barely been at my job for like a year probably, but I was like, nah, I'm carrying this place. Which, while arrogant, is also not totally inaccurate, y'all, let me tell you. So I was talking to the general manager, and I was like, so I've been here a year. I had no idea what to say. I've never asked for a raise before. It was my first job, and all I know is that I deserve more money. I remember saying something like, I've been here a year. You know, I work hard. I talked about some of the stuff that I do or whatever. He's essentially got his back to me the whole time, which is basically how he talked to everyone. He didn't really tend to face people. He wasn't a very good man. Maybe that's not fair. Maybe he was a good man. He was just a bad boss. I don't know. Anyway, I honestly had not been talking that long. Like, maybe 60 seconds, but it seemed like he was fed up, and he turned around. He was like, okay. And I was like, okay, I'm getting my raise. And he was like, okay. And I'm like, okay, cool, bye. Like, all I needed to know is I was going to get more money. Like... It's not that serious, bro. Just tell me I'm getting more money and I'll shut up. I'm working on a thing right now, and I came in at the very last minute, and I'm doing my AJ thing, which is, you know, perfection. And one of the people in charge, he was like, I really want to thank you. It's me and someone else came on at the same time. So he's like, I really want to thank y'all for all your hard work, and, you know, jumping in at the last minute and just diving in. What would be a good way to thank you? I know things that I would like to receive, but what's something that you would like to receive? And I was like, if it's not cash, I don't care. And like verbatim, that's what I said. It's like cold hard cash or nothing. Oh, I forgot. Timothy was supposed to remind me to tell him about how I'm funny and charming or something.
I was going to ask you if you wanted it to happen on air or if you just wanted it.
No, it's not related enough to this topic at all, but it's partially because of this conversation. Oh, we have to explain now. I messaged Timothy at like, 2 in the morning? Because that's about the time that I finally start to exist again. And I just said something like, next time I see you in person, remind me to tell you about how I'm funny and charming. Is that right?
Yeah.
Charming and amazing? Something like that. But anyway, it was partially because of this conversation, and then plus like a bunch of other conversations that I had over the course of last night. But anyway, I was like, yeah, cash or nothing. I don't remember how he replied. In the end, we settled on candy. I didn't expect him to give me cash because, I mean, like, he would have been giving it to me out of his own pocket. And, like, that's not fair to him. But he was like, I mean, what about, do y'all want, like, food or candy? Like, he's now trying to throw suggestions because I already told him what I wanted. And the other person was like, I don't know. She's much younger than me. And so she's newer to the world. So she didn't really know how to react at all. And so he started suggesting food, candy, and I'm like, candy, because I'm just trying to get him to shut up now. I'm like, if you're not going to give me cash, I told you, I don't care. If it's not cash, it really does not matter to me. It's like when I worked at Barnes & Noble, and they're like, it's a jeans day, and I'm like, you don't pay me enough to buy jeans. I don't care about jeans day. Or like pizza parties. Give me money. I'll buy my own pizza. I don't want to eat pizza with you people.
I can eat pizza home alone.
Anyway, how did I get here? The point is, that's the only other conversation I had on my list, asking for that raise. I did almost consider the giving a notice, but like I said, I don't think I've ever done it in person.
Mm.
Another difference between Timothy and I is that, while I won't say that I like difficult conversations, I'm also gonna say that I kind of like difficult conversations. Because I don't find too many conversations difficult. Like, when I left Sonic, I was going to talk to them in person. You need it in writing, too, so I had it in writing. And maybe I've told this story on the podcast already, but I had it in writing that morning, and I put it by the computer so that I wouldn't lose it. I folded it, and I put it under the keyboard so that no one would see it, because the manager wasn't in yet, so that's why I hadn't talked to them yet. but I didn't want him to come in and then see it before I could talk to him about it. But then he did. I guess he moved the keyboard or something and he saw it. And so when I finally, because, it's a fast food restaurant, I'm like running around working. So when I finally had a chance to go over to him and be like, hey, so I want to talk to you. And he's like, yeah, I saw the note. And I'm like, oh, well, I was going to tell you because I've been working there for so long that I figured, I'm like, it's been almost 10 years. He deserves to hear it. Mm-hmm. Even though he had actually only been there 3 months, by the way. But I was still like, no, I feel like I should tell someone in person. It's been too long. But also because he was so new and I was doing extra stuff for him. Not sex stuff. He would have been paying me enough that I would have stayed. But I was like, oh, well, okay then. I was gonna talk to him about it. But oh well. Because I like conversations, even if they are difficult. I'm using air quotes. Difficult conversations. If it's about something that I feel passionately about, or if it's something that affects me in a large way, I'm like, no, you're gonna listen to me talk. Even if it does end up being kind of confrontational, I guess. I just really enjoy defending myself. I've got a lot of anger, and so when I can use it, I appreciate it.
That makes sense.
Yeah. I was hoping more difficult conversations would come to me. Memories of difficult conversations would come to me while we while we're sitting here recording. The door just bursts open.
You know what I've been meaning to say to you, AJ? I would never talk to you that way. Oh my god.
You really wouldn't.
I don't think I would ever talk to anybody that way.
I don't think you would either. That's a shame. You're missing out.
I was going to talk about breakups too, but I'm realizing now that every time I've broken up with someone has already been mentioned. To be fair, it was only once, but still. I've been broken up with 3 times, but only 2 of those were actually conversation. Oh, only one of those was a conversation. One was a Facebook message and one was a text message.
Wow.
Oh, so I guess they didn't want to have difficult conversations.
Wow.
But good on you, a high school girlfriend, for wanting to have that difficult conversation with me. I know it wasn't easy, I'm sure.
Mm-hmm.
But I appreciate you. And now we're friends and everything's great.
Yay. And the Facebook Messenger and the text messenger are dead to you. No, you heard it here. Dead to Timothy.
I don't talk to either of them anymore, so...
Dead to you.
Maybe so.
Timothy, that's awful.
Oh my god. Oh. And then, yeah, the one time I broke up with someone, it was over the phone, and yeah, it was not smart or nice. I'm not a good person, but that's fine. I've grown a lot since then. I was a dumb kid. I think then I was 20. We've talked about it enough. Nobody wants to hear that story again. But
I'm trying to remember if I talked about how, insert his fake name here, and I ended things. I know I didn't talk about him in any of the Can I Date You episodes, and that's where I would have told the full story. Mm-hmm. So if I mentioned how we ended things, it was only in a casual passing during another episode. But... yeah, that was a difficult conversation for him, also through text message. So I guess if I haven't talked about him on the podcast before... did the final Can I Date You come out already? Oh, it did. Anyway, this is not a Can I Date You episode, but quick little summary of this little thing that I had. Let's call him, I don't know, let's call him Trent. Great, his name is Trent. As I mentioned in multiple episodes, the year that I was 25, I changed a lot, and part of that is because of Trent. I think this all happened over the course of 1 year. So within this 1 year, we met and we went out super cash. But I liked him a lot from the very beginning. And then the more I got to know him, the more I liked him. But he was just going through a lot of personal issues, just a lot of mental health things. And so he kept having to pull away. And I'm like, well, that's okay. Take your time, do what you got to do. And whenever we reconnect is when we reconnect. And so over the course of the year, there were a few times where I didn't hear from him for a couple months or so, and then he'd be back, and we'd hang out multiple times within a few weeks. But anyway, in the end, what happened was, I was also taking improv over the course of this year. I was graduating from improv school. I was finally funny. And the night of my graduation, that afternoon, I woke up and he had texted me and he was like, hey, so I think I really need to actually step back and just focus on me. He was like, I really don't know how long it might be this time. And so I'm like, well, that's okay. I mean, you gotta do it, so go do it. It wasn't a very long conversation, but I'd imagine that it was pretty hard for him to do. I was not happy about it, but I also saw it coming. So I was like, okay, that's fine. Whenever we get back to it, we get back to it. If we get back to it. It was all through text, but it's really weird for me to try to describe because it was through text, but I could just see that it was like difficult for him, you know?
Uh-huh.
This is a bad story because like that's it. It was a text message conversation and I could tell it was difficult for him. I was fine. On the day of my graduation, I should write for the CW. It was a big moment in my life. I was graduating improv school. I had to go on stage and be funny for a bunch of strangers.
It's funny because that's basically your whole job. Not only to be funny, but like to entertain them.
Yeah. To set my own feelings aside and just pretend. For the amusement of others. It's me every episode. I'm definitely joking.
Holy shit. Oh dear.
It's okay. Sometimes we make money, so it's fine.
Oh my god. Money tries all the tears.
He used an invisible dollar bill to wipe the tears out of his eyes. It was a good touch.
Thank you. It was for no one but you.
I told them. They heard it.
That's true. That's true.
They can picture it now.
To be clear, it was $100 bill.
I knew that somehow.
All about the Benjamins.
Mm-hmm.
Mm.
Especially if they're hot.
Do you find Benjamin Franklin attractive?
How much money does he have?
Does he own every $100 bill? Since his face is on it.
Does he?
Is that how that works?
If so, then he's very attractive. Do we have any advice for difficult conversations?
I think so much of it boils down to like individual circumstances. We're all people. Anybody you are talking to in the world is a person just like you are with a complex inner and outer life. And except for very few people, most people aren't out to get you. Most people don't want you to fail. And most people don't want you to be unhappy. So I think if you approach the situation as a person just like you know better or worse, talking, wording, I lost it. But if you approach it that way, I think that can sometimes make things easier. I mean, we're all human and it's okay for any given conversation to be difficult for you. And I can't even think of an example where you wouldn't come through it and be fine. Well, okay, that's overstating it. But you will come through it and life will go on. And in general, things will move past whatever conversation you're thinking about as we're talking about difficult conversations. But if you need specific advice, that's cool too.
Yep. I was just gonna say nihilism. You can never go wrong with nihilism. It makes everything better. It makes everything easier. And easier is inherently better. Have difficult conversations. Do them. You have no choice. That's all I got. So Timothy mentioned a second ago, if you need advice about a specific situation, and then he just kind of trailed off. I guess he just wants you to go fuck yourself. But I'm here to let you know that we would have been happy to give you advice about it had you asked us sooner. But as you are hearing this episode, the next 3 episodes have already been recorded, and those are the last 3 episodes with Timothy. So we will not be offering you advice for your difficult conversations. So seriously, all the bullshit Timothy said and nihilism, that's all we can give you. Those are the tools that we are handing you. And you need to wield them wisely. Be real careful with that nihilism. It's a little sharp sometimes.
Especially AJ's.
But anyway, because we didn't realize it until it was too late, but we didn't announce that we weren't going to do advice anymore. But thank you to those of you who submitted advice, and thank you for allowing us to ask you to ask us for advice, because I had a lot of fun, especially on those social media posts, coming up with new ways to ask people to ask for advice.
Yeah.
That was like my favorite part of the post every single time. I don't care about the episodes. I don't care about any of that bullshit. I just want to ask people to ask me for advice. It's fun.
Yeah, no, I get it.
Anyway, no more advice from us. You're on your own, but we believe in you. We've given you everything you need. Nihilism and the bullshit from Timothy. So,
We're not dying though. You can still find us on social media and ask us things. It just won't be on the show.
okay, that's true. I guess, yeah. If you ever,
I shouldn't volunteer both of us. You can still seek me out and ask me things if you want to.
if you ever need advice, we won't be airing it. We won't be airing your dirty laundry to the world. So we would get nothing out of it. But if you need advice, you can still come to us. We are still your friends.
Yeah.
Even if we're not hanging out with you in our living room every week. Send it to our personal socials, though. Because the Can I Bother You stuff is mine now, and I don't want you anywhere near it. Just kidding. Please keep listening. Subscribe.
I thought you were talking to me.
No, I already told you that in private. No, I'm talking to them. Anyway, you can find Can I Bother You on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter at Can I Bother You. And you can find me, if you want to ask me specifically for advice, on AJ Reyes F13, on AJ Reyes F13, on it, sure, and at it, at AJ Reyes F13, on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube. You probably can't ask me for advice there because it's a little harder to message, but like, you can watch me give advice in the form of short sketches and music videos. All my things are very educational. So, much like these episodes. Like before, I bet you didn't know that I was a human, and I am. Anyway, Timothy, where can they find you if they want to ask your advice?
You can find me on Twitter and Facebook at TCJDV and on Instagram at Tomatio88. Yeah. So do that if you want. And sorry.
I hit him.
That's just the sound my very hollow plasticine head makes when hit. But if you are enjoying the show, have been enjoying the show, feel free to rate, review, and subscribe on your podcatcher of choice. It does mean a lot to us, even though we're nearing the end of this current iteration of things. It still means a lot to us moving forward. And I know it will continue to mean a lot to AJ. And yeah, we appreciate it. Also, if you would like to show your support with money that will dry all of our tears, you can find us on Ko-fi at Can I Bother You? And we would greatly appreciate that too. And thank you to all the people who have done so far.
Yeah, well, Timothy is still on payroll also. Because once he's gone and it's all mine. I'm excited to reinvest it. I was holding off on putting more money into the podcast until I was actually excited about it, so...
It took me a second to realize you were even, like, joking. I thought you were just, like, letting it all out, and I was like...
Oh my god. That was fun. Did you ask them to review us? I know I did it like 3 times during the show, but okay, cool, great. Leave me a review, y'all. Or Timothy, fine, if you want to like Timothy a review too. I like notes. I miss passing notes in classes. And like, this is how we pass notes. Ours are audible, theirs are written. So that we can delete them if we want.
I was gonna say, I like that way of thinking about it. That's nice.
Alright, my nihilism is kicking in a little too hard, so it's probably about time to, like, go.
Into the void. I don't know.
It's not a good look on you.
Some of us can pull it off, Tim.
Okay, bye.
Bye, y'all.